It's hi. Happy rainy Sunday here from Louisiana. It is raining cats and dogs, literally. We are experiencing cold but rainy weather, and I hope the weather is nice where you're at because it's miserable here. Today, we're going to be talking about what is going on with this post that it was made not only on X, it was made on Twitter. Formerly, I should have said formerly Twitter, and on Facebook. A bunch of real estate agents jumped on board to talk about this post that went extremely viral. And then we're going to talk about what actually is happening in the DC housing market, because what they posted and the reality are two different things. So, that's why we do these shows every single Sunday, is because we're going to filter out what the headlines actually mean on some of this data that people scoundrel up and make it seem like the world is falling apart. And we're going to dissect it together. Not only that, we're going to be talking about the builders' confidence this week, because we're, how the builders always are. They're always feeling icky or they're feeling positive about building. So we're going to be talking about that. It bridges over into tariffs. And then there was one more article. What was it about? Insurance rates. The other thing we're going to talk about is insurance, and where you're going to be able to see some insurance hikes, homeowners insurance. So those are some important things. We're going to, without any further ado, I do want to say hello to Eric the Blue Lawnmower SB and King in the City, the first D-Jack, and 56 Strine is here. Yes, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping in right at the beginning of the stream. You guys are the best. Guys and gals. All right, let's talk about this post, because this is what has made people go absolutely bananas. I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, that's insanity. Eddie, if you could pull up that post for me, I would greatly appreciate it. It's that first article. It was even on the thumbnail. The post that you see on the thumbnail is what was going around. So it says, fake real estate posts stokes fears and federal cuts impact on the DC housing market. Essentially, what this guy posted was what you see on the thumbnail. It shows all of these listings coming up soon. And the facts are this. Lawrence Hune, the chief of economists of the National Association of Realtors, said the viral post is fake. Right now, we are not seeing any major increase in inventory and plunging home prices. So this guy that made the original post, his name is, Darth something, and Darth Economist or something like that. He was saying that because of all the federal layoffs, that people are in a mad rush to get their houses sold because they now have lost their jobs. A real estate agent with Compass said that the viral post is bogus and real estate professionals are scrambling to set the story straight. I will tell you from my own personal experience, I can't even tell you how many real estate professionals jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh my gosh, this is it. It's the end of the world. All of these people are selling their houses. This is the catalyst to start the next housing crisis. I saw it on TikTok. I saw it on Facebook. I saw it in blog posts. And then, of course, a lot of these people had to go ahead and retract it. Some realtors have been posting because they are getting calls from clients. What's going on? Is this true? Should I put my house on the market right now? Housing inventory data for the first 2 weeks in February shows minimal changes in the Northern Virginia cities and counties when compared with the same period time last year. So I talked to a friend of mine that is in that area, and literally you could lay them side by side, and it's the same amount of listings, slightly up from a year before. The largest increase in new home listings was in London County, which saw a 24% more compared to a 2-week period in 2024. In London, you're seeing that, but you have a lot of new builds, a lot of new construction, but you also have people who have been ordered to return to work. So they're looking at maybe we should come back and move in closer. Yoon said that Beltway bubble hasn't popped and likely won't see that anytime soon because of the direct federal government employees making up 9% of the region's workforce. 90% of the work in the private sector, many government contractor related, but nonetheless, given the highly educated workforce in the DC region, many companies want to tap into that workforce. So before you see any social media site or social media post and you see somebody saying it's all about to pop, and this is true of YouTube videos, TikTok videos, I want you to actually talk to somebody that's an expert in that specific area. And I know in a lot of times you don't trust real estate agents, but it doesn't help them to lie to you what's going on in the real estate market, right? If anything, they would love you to put your house on the market so they could sell it. So if they were to tell you this is no different than it was a year ago, it doesn't help them any way, shape, or form. It doesn't help them it would help them to say, yes, it's all falling apart. You should probably go ahead and sell now. Look at the people that are professionals in the area. If you don't like their answer, call several professionals in that area, and then you can come to your own conclusions. You can actually even get that raw data from the MLS from those real estate agents. So you can look at it yourself, and then you can make your own determinations. These posts are meant to get you to click. And I was shocked to see how many real estate professionals actually went ahead and started sharing that post everywhere before they even dug a little deeper. That's all you have to do is scratch the surface just a little bit to know that that post was incorrect. But it made for good clicks, I guess, for that guy. It was wild to see how crazy it went in such a short period of time. So anyways, that's why I wanted to put that out there. If you've seen this post that's going around, it's not true. 100% not true. Frank Brock says they're just now getting fired. It probably takes months to a few months to put on the market. Looking at it now is way too soon. Yes, exactly. And and this is true if like whenever you see like an increase of pre-foreclosure or foreclosure markets as well. You can see on a map where it says pre-foreclosure or homes that are going through foreclosure. And people think, oh my gosh, there's so many listings. That map, by the time it actually gets to the market, the open market for people to purchase, can take years. The pre-foreclosure process means that they're sending somebody out from the bank to do a drive-by appraisal, make sure the house is in good condition so they can work with the buyer to try to get them to reorganize their mortgage to keep them in that. It actually works better for the banks to get people to stay in their house than try to go through the foreclosure process. That actually costs them a lot of money and a lot of headache and a lot of time that they don't want to do. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll work with the buyers, unlike they had in years past, but the homeowners right now, they'll work with them to restructure their loan so they can stay in the house. So that pre-foreclosure means, it means really nothing. You're wasting your time if you're thinking you can, scoop up a house. Sometimes you can. I'm not saying it's impossible, but, don't put too much weight on that. Then when you see the foreclosure map and it says, oh, all these homes are in the process of foreclosure. Even though they're in the process, that does not mean that they're actually going to be foreclosed on as well. Because like I said, when they're in that pre-foreclosure process, maybe they haven't gotten all their paperwork done. So now that it's starting to get filed, they're filing it. Now they're in the loop of being foreclosed on. That doesn't mean it can't be stopped. So, don't put too much in that. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying that, it takes time. In some areas across the United States, from the time that they actually get served papers and actually come onto the market can take up to 4 years. 4 years. So they were foreclosed on in 2020. May not see it until 2024 or 2025. And it depends on everything that's happened within the homeowners themselves. You can even add even more years on top of that if they have had, if they're going through bankruptcy and then the couple is getting divorced. You can add several years on top of that before the house ever hits the open market. So just realize that when you start seeing some of these headlines that come out in the future, or when they say there's a huge uptick in foreclosures, that a lot of times when they say there's a huge uptick is because it was up, a 0.5% or something like that. And it still to this day has not met the numbers that it was prior to the pandemic. We still do not have the same foreclosure numbers that we had prior to the pandemic. We're not there yet. That was a good comment to make. It takes time before you ever see any of these houses hit the market. And if there's there's mass layoffs in any sector, there's always a shuffle in a housing market, but that doesn't mean that housing market is going to crash. Come on. Come on. If anything, it just brings more opportunities to home buyers right now. And there is a shortage of supply in the DC area. So, that if anything, it's going to bring some more opportunities for those home buyers. Debbie says, sounds like it's like a cooling off in the DC area. A nearby home went on sale for 2 days ago for just under $425. It sold for $183.5 in August of 2017. Yeah. Well, I mean, cooling off, or, let me just, another thing I want you to put in your mind when you start looking at some of these phone numbers. Sorry, not phone numbers. And you put the phone number up there. Some of these numbers, when it comes to this time of year, people will say, oh, there's so much less being sold in the last 2 months. In the last 2 months is like where people are just getting back from Christmas and Thanksgiving. And of course, those numbers are going to have less home sales than they would typically, 2 months later from now, right? When it's in the spring season, when kids are starting to get out of school, then you're going to see homes start selling again, because that's the time. That's the normal time of the home buying and selling season. Every area has their own season. Some areas have a wider span in that season, but typically when you see the school let out, that's when you're going to see the most home shopping happening. So just know that, in the summertime, it's always a hot time to, spring, summer, people are always selling. You're going to see a lot more listings on the market during the spring and summer. What we saw during the pandemic was not a typical housing market at all. Everybody knows that. So they just called back over 14,000 people to DC, and there's only space for 4,000. That's a bigger problem. So yeah, so like all those houses, let's just say all those houses were for sale. A lot of those people would be looking at the houses for them to purchase. I don't to cause a huge alarm and make people go crazy online, I think was disingenuous, to say the least. Just, 56 Strine says, everyone living in Texas, Florida, moving back to California, housing is on a tear in Santa Clara, California. I have never been there. I've only been to California a few times. I know that, and this is, I know nothing. I'm going to preface this by saying I know nothing about the Florida housing market, but I've heard from other people that are very in tune to the housing market in Florida that they are seeing an increase of people that are interested in selling their houses in the spring. And the main reason is because of, you guessed it, I'm sure you're going to guess it, taxes and insurance. Taxes and insurance is strangling a lot of these people. So there's a lot of people that are like thinking about moving to another area because those two things are just getting too much. Mostly it's the insurance. Oh, and the HOA fees, of course. Thank you, Ezra. Thank you so much. Sometimes, oh no, just stop, just stop. Are we seeing the effects of tariffs yet? Oh, Helen, I have the article for you. Eddie, go ahead and pull up what the home builders are saying right now about this, about the effects of tariffs. Okay, builders' confidence on tariffs and housing has cost concerns. Builder sentiment fell sharply in February over concerns on tariffs, elevated mortgage rates, and high housing costs. And you know what? That whenever they feel icky, you know what they do? They pull back from building. Builder confidence in the market for the newly built single-family homes was 42 in February, down 5 points from January, at the lowest level in 5 months, according to the National Association of Home Builders. While builders hold out hope for pro-development policies, particularly for regulation and reform, policy uncertainty and cost factors created. Eddie, you got the phone number over the thing. I can't read the. Can you take off the phone number, please? Thank you. Uncertainty cost factors created a reset for 2025's expectations in the most recent HMI. Said the chairman, Carl Harris of the custom home builder from Wichita, Kansas. Uncertainty on tariff front has helped push builders' expectations for future sales and volume to its lowest level since December of 2023. Incentives use many also weakening as sales strategy as the elevated interest rates reduce the pool of eligible buyers. With 32% of appliances and 30% of softwood lumber coming in from international trade, uncertainty over the scale and scope of tariffs has builders further concerned about the costs. Reflecting on its outlook, builders collected prior to the pause for the proposal on goods from Canada and Mexico yielded a lower HMI reading at 38, while collectively after the announcement, 1 month pause produced a 44 score, addressing the elevated pace of shelter inflation requires bending the housing cost curve to enable adding more attainable housing. Okay, that sounded like stereo instructions. What I'm going to say is this. Before, when all of this talk was coming about with the trade agreement with Canada, they had said, they said they were going to put all these tariffs on all sorts of things that were coming in from Canada. There was a big alarm on how much this was going to increase the price of not just wood. We're talking all buildings materials, imported and exported, all of that stuff, including from China as well. The overall cost of a home would have increased. Since then, the renegotiated contract looked exactly like the negotiated contract prior to all of this rigmarole, all of this blow up of stories. They renegotiated the same contract that they already had negotiated, and everything looks the same. But we know how markets run and we know how emotions run. So if builders have an expectation that this is only going to last X amount of time, they're still going to be at a point of, I don't know if I want to build that many houses if the interest rates continue to go up, if there's a threat of building materials going up, and we have a less of a workforce building our homes. And that has been an ongoing problem, and it's growing. They do not have enough skilled workforce to build the houses at the rate that they need to be built at. So in order to get them there, they got to pay them more. And in order to pay them more, that means the price of the house goes up. With that being said, all of this is just how they feel. The market will dictate what happens. So coming into the spring, all of us will be very aware of how home builders are going to react if the home buyers are out. If you see less home buyers coming into the market, they're not going to build nearly as quickly as they used to, because they're not going to sit there with a bunch of empty inventory. Some home builders will continue to build, especially in areas that have a growing economy. But the ones that are like, let's just say Florida, they're probably going to pull back. But for now, there is no impact of the tariffs currently on the housing market, because the negotiated contract that was with Canada prior to all of the renegotiations ended up being the exact same tariff negotiations to prior. It was the same thing. There was nothing that was negotiated that was new. It's the same as it was prior. So Lawnmower says there were some tariffs that went into effect in May and July. It bumped up a lot of the prices for Asian products and solar products from Europe, Asia, and North America. So if you're looking at like wiring, alarm systems, those kinds of things, those will go up. But that doesn't mean that, there's nothing reflected in the housing market currently. It's just too soon to know. Love the specs. Oh, DJ, I got these. I buy them in a pack. I buy them on a pack because Kristina loses her specs a lot. You guys have seen me in several different kinds, and you know what happens to them? I lose them. So I buy them in a pack on Amazon. 56 Strine says, do you know the way to San Jose? Everybody sing. No, I don't know the way. You don't want me to sing. Don't you play that song. I'm going to get I'm going to get a copyright. Don't you play that song. Don't you play that song. I'll get a copyright, Eddie. I'll get a copyright claim. Don't you play that song. You guys didn't hear that. You did not hear that. Whoops. He didn't know. Well, I hope that answered your tariff question. AQ said, not sure where the housing market is slowing down. Where I'm at, the decent houses are flying off the shelves. Some of them went under agreement before scheduled open houses, despite being overpriced. You know, like in my area, what we're seeing as far as affordable housing is we used to build homes that were affordable. Like honestly, we would build enough homes for all the plant workers we have out here. There was a neighborhood for every price point. And now what they're doing, instead of building those smaller homes to alleviate the affordability crisis here, they're just building more more rent controlled apartment complexes. That's what they're doing. Um, I mean, I don't we have enough land here that we could build smaller homes. The land here isn't that expensive. Why they're choosing to go this route is, I think, a recipe for a disaster for future generations. But yeah, yeah, Eddie was ready to jam. He didn't know. He didn't know you couldn't play music. I'm gonna get a copyright strike if you do that, dude. I can't do that. Annie Shenanigan says sales are slowing and prices are dropping here in SW Florida, Southwest Florida. Annie, I want to ask you, do you think that's due to the cost of taxes and insurance? It's making people want to move more, or do you think there's another reason? I'd be interested to see what your viewpoint is. Art H says only investors will be able to buy homes and happily rent them to you. Sad times, no more pride and ownership in America. Well, you know what? There is a pride in ownership here in the United States. There's plenty of young people that would love to buy a home. But in a lot of the areas where the jobs are at, there's just not any kind of affordable housings to purchase. Like I was just saying, in my area, there's plenty of young people that have jobs, that there isn't enough affordable homes that like they used to build. They used to build very nice little neighborhoods, huge neighborhoods, like PUD. There's a PUD right up the road that is full of families and young working families that are right around the corner. But they don't build those type of houses anymore. Those same houses today that were, ready for the younger generations to purchase are way out of the price range of the jobs that are available here in our area. So their solution now is to build rent control apartments. I mean, I think that's a shame because we do have enough land to build these smaller homes. And it is affordable, but they just want to stick them in apartments and make them renters for life. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Bob says every market very local to the area. In New Jersey, by me, low inventory, high prices in desirable areas. That is 1000% true. And Bob, that's how I started this off. Because if you saw the beginning of the stream, that stupid post that guy said, all of DC is falling. It's all falling apart. It's so local. And he didn't even know what he was talking about. you know, Everybody can make a map of anything and make anything look like anything, but the raw data does not show that there is this massive increase of listings that are hitting the market. Total lie. We got a question from Too Evil. Still waiting on my official filed copy of my deed from the title company. It is filed in public record, and they emailed me a copy, but not one with a notary. Am I wrong? Should I get one? Depending on your state, you can also go to your county court office where it has been filed and ask them for a notarized copy of that deed. If you have if you have your own copy and you're looking for the filed copy and it's not been notarized, talk to the people at the courthouse and see what you need to do. Not only that, I would also contact your the company that actually did your sale, your point of sale, and ask them, what is going on here. And if you don't like their answer, again, go to the courthouse. Where is here? Where is here? I'm in Louisiana, if that's where you're asking. Here in Louisiana, here just outside Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. King in the City, Eddie. He says that King in the City says that Eddie earned a couple nights on the couch. Eddie has his own room because Eddie's a snorer, and we have decorated it all in Star Wars fan stuff. He's got the room that every young man would love. So he's not going on the couch. He's just going to go to his own room. Art H says only investors will be able to buy homes. We already did this comment, Edward. Eddie, where are you, man? We did this comment. Nick says, let's stop saying ownership. And it's a simulacrum of ownership. Just an imitation and an illusion. I guess you're falling under the guise that you never really own a home because you always have to pay property taxes. You know, it's funny that you say that because last week we talked about there's a few states that are looking into, they're not, they're not saying they're going to do it, but they're looking into removing property taxes altogether so that after, X amount of years, you would actually own the home and you wouldn't owe any property taxes where they could foreclose on your house for anything. But that wouldn't stop the homeowners associations from foreclosing on you. Everybody knows that those homeowners associations have the ability, even if you're late by $30, and you've been late several times and it's always in the red, $30, they can foreclose on your house. And then what they do is they purchase it back up. It's a little loophole. Some HOA companies are so ambitious with this is they purposely fine houses over and over and over again. So they have to foreclose on them. One poor lady I saw, she was behind on her HOAs $1,300 and she had fallen ill and she was going to get to it. By the time she actually was like, okay, here's my $1,300 here, I got the whole thing, that she had so many accrued fines on top of it, and now was like over $10,000. And she's like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. So of course she had to get a lawyer. But there is some thought out there that they might remove property taxes in some states. Florida was one of them. I forget what other state. Texas was another one that was looking at it. Not saying that they were going to do it. They just said they were looking into it. It's an interesting thought. I mean, how would they get that money though? Because you have to maintain the roads. You have to maintain the lights throughout the area. Does every road then become a toll road then? So that way that's constantly maintained by those fees that come through the roads. How do they maintain the schools? How are public schools paid for? If that is not the case, if they're not collecting tax dollars from property taxes, how would you offset that? Do you raise the overall cost of purchasing items in the area? Is that how they offset it? So Texas Republicans want more property tax cuts. Here's how they may do it. Let's see what Texas is going to do. How are they going to do it, Eddie? Eddie, you put it on the screen, but you're not telling us anything. All right. Let's see. He's going to scroll down to that part where they say how they're going to do it. Are you just going to go through really fast? So, here we go. Limiting property tax prohibits would be prohibitive expense prohibitively expensive.
Can you say that 5 times?
No. Texas would need to spend about $81.5 billion a year to get rid of property taxes collected by school districts, cities, and counties. The legislation budget board told the Senate lawmakers last year legislatures would likely have to have a significant hike in the state sales tax, an idea that has proven politically toxic in the past, in part because doing so would fall hard on lower income families. So how do they do that? Like, that would be the whole thing. So obviously it's tied to property taxes are tied to so many things. But what if they offset the property taxes by raising the state tax maybe 1 or 2%? Would that be okay with you guys? Like, here in Louisiana, ours is almost 10%. Where we are in this little parish here, little Ascension parish, it's nearly 10%. Yeah. Crayfish says Baton Rouge is the land of mosquitoes. I don't know. The closer you get to New Orleans, it seems like the mosquitoes are even bigger. Gas tax. Ooh, that would not make people happy. Uh, D-Jack said, it's a bet. It's not New York to get rid of the property tax. Yeah. Yeah, I bet New York's not going to do it. A tourist tax. That would be interesting. Fees would be applied when you register your vehicle. Well, a lot of people have a like when we had an impact fee. So when we moved to Louisiana, we had an impact fee. When we moved to Florida, we had an impact fee where our cars that came in, we had to pay a fee to the state of Florida because our car was impacting the road. So we had to pay a fee for our cars to be there. That wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be enough though. Bud says our property tax is different than the school fund. I forgot what it's called. It's paid at the same time and collected the same way. Okay, so it's still tied to a property tax of some sort, assessed tax. Just lower property taxes, then go up. They'll go up, yet nothing to show for it. Yeah. If you live in Louisiana, you know. Our property taxes go up and our roads are still god awful. They're terrible. Terrible. Lisa says still taxed in the end, just in a different way. There's no getting around being taxed in some way. Well, that is true. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you offset the property taxes? What are you gonna tax to make up that money? Texas is over $81 billion. How are they going to say, okay, homeowners, we're going to no longer do property tax, but there has to be made up somehow. It has to be made up somehow. Yeah. Taco Bell Ninja says, Eddie, stop dropping the ball. Stop dropping the ball. All right. We're going to read this next comment and then we're going to get into the first phone call. Nick said, you could offset it by cutting the overspending of the military budget, allocate taxes to things that actually benefit America and not sending it to Ukraine. That's an interesting thought. But as far as like, this is like state tax that maintains the state's roads, right? So this isn't a federal tax. This would be your property taxes are related to the area that you specifically live in, your county that you live in. So those taxes are assessed within your specific county. So when you get your tax bill, it has to do with maintaining that small area. It's not a federal tax. SB says, question, what are your thoughts about Lego-like builds? Is it Renko Products, or is it that company that built some apartments in Palm Springs? So there's lots of companies out there that are doing some innovative things as far as building faster and more efficiently. Those Lego building block type homes have been around, I mean, probably 15, 20 years. But I will tell you that the construction industry is probably the slowest moving when it comes to innovating with new products. It takes them forever. Even though a product has been out for a long time, it takes the customers themselves to demand it for them to change. If it was up to them, we would still have shag carpeting. Like they do not like change very much. They will say, I've been building houses for the last 30 years and you don't need radiant barrier in the attic. And it's no skin off their nose. The system is no different for them to put up than it was the regular sheathing that they've always done. But you can't tell them until the customers start demanding it, and then they're like, all right, I'll do it. That's how it is around here. But I've talked to other people and it's a slow moving business when it comes to anything that is different than it had been done before. They're not quick to adjust to change. But I like the idea. It does work really well. It does make a very tight product. The test of time has shown that there are durable homes. It's just, it takes a while for builders to adapt to it. Who's on first says, question, on social media, I saw a post claiming that the recent deportations are causing substantial workforce shortage in home building industry. Have you come across any real reporting about this? Only rumors I have, but that was, let me just be honest, prior to way before the elections, we have seen a decrease of workforce for the last 10 years. The appeal to go get a job out in the sun, working for that amount of money is not there for younger generations to want to do it. There's no incentive. There's no benefits. There's no insurance. There's no, promise of anything beyond you're getting a paycheck. So younger generations don't look at that as a good career choice for them. They have not they have not spent enough time to show them how you can build a business doing these kinds of trade work, right? And so because of that, now you've seen a decline of how many people are actually getting into these types of trade jobs. They're trying to turn it around, but it's going to take time. That has been in the works forever. You could, if you wanted to make a headline, if you wanted to write an article, you could definitely make it seem like, well, because of all of this, this is happening. Let me just say this. Whether you like the guy or not, he's only been in office for a month. All of these things are just headlines. We do not know the impact of those headlines. We don't know the impact of all of these policies for quite some time down the road. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We have to wait. So I'll leave it at that. AF Virginia says, quick question. What is your realtor responsibility when listing a rental property for a 1 month rent? Do they need to provide any lease and service, like make sure everything is in order as agreed in the lease? It depends on what's in your contract. What you have to decide what your real estate agent is supposed to be representing you on. What does your contract say, and what is their liabilities and responsibilities in that contract? I don't know where you're at. Every state has a different one. And sometimes when it comes to leases, it will depend on the actual company themselves because they're not necessarily through the MLS. Eddie, can we get to that phone call that we got? The first one there?
Chris, Beloit, Wisconsin. Hi there. We want to sell our house, and there's a lot of like old wiring to it. And we're looking at like a buy ugly houses type, and I know you're a realtor, but we just don't want to really deal with it. Is there anything that we should look for to kind of watch out for, like if they're kind of shady, or if we should hire a lawyer to look at the contract, or is there something different we should do if we're not dealing with a realtor?
Great question. Not everybody wants to work with real estate agents, and I get it. And if you were going to go on it on your own, your contract is the one thing that will either make your process really wonderful or totally screw you over. And I would tell you 100%, if you're not going to hire a real estate agent, at least hire an attorney to look over that contract. The other thing is that no matter what house you're looking at, I would 100% have a good qualified home inspector look over that house. And then if you have a house that you really like and you want to put a bid on it, and I would have an individual plumber come out there, talk about the plumbing, make sure those pipes are good. I have somebody come out and look at the HVAC system, and I have somebody come out there and look at the roof. All of these things are super important and can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So you want to have at least a somewhat idea of what these things are going to cost you if you do need to replace them in the future. And work with those people on all the houses you're considering, right? Not only that, make sure your inspection period time is long enough to have those people come out to that house to make sure that you're able to walk away from it if the inspection comes up and it doesn't seem like something you want to purchase. Now, I kind of I don't know if I misunderstood your call, and you were saying something about your own wiring in your own house. If you have a problem with your own wiring in your own house, you can, when you go to put it up for sale, make sure that you disclose that to the future home buyers. And then I would have an estimate of how much it would cost to replace that old wiring in your house, and then put that with your listing itself. So that way that the home buyers are aware of what they're getting into. That's what I would suggest. Anybody else want to give her
super chat? Thank you.
Oh, we got super chat. The text says Eddie's going on a solo vacation for $10. All right, Eddie can go down the road and get himself something at the dollar store. Thank you so much for this $10 super chat. Maybe we should put it in a bucket. We'll put a little a jar back here for Eddie's solo vacation fund. Anybody wants to give her some more advice on if she's going to buy or sell her house herself without a real estate agent, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat there, and we can help her along the way. I know some of you don't want to work with a real estate agent. I get it. Some of them suck. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Some of us in any business suck. Yep. Ubi says, hi, Kristina. Yes, the housing market is usually slower this time of year. Yes, it is usually slower this time of year, but it makes for better headlines when it says, this is 37% slower than 4 months ago. Well, yeah, it's 37% slower than it was 4 months ago. Of course it is. It's not the time of year that people are buying and selling houses. I will say too, though, the interest rates have kept people on the fence. They're not moving too much and not in a positive direction. That's for sure. Lawnmower says, Texas property taxes are for county and local revenue. Correct. Exactly. That's how it is here in Louisiana as well. Overjoyed said they should eliminate property taxes for seniors over 65. Let them work and age. People pay for their schools. You know what? I don't disagree with this. And in some states, they have where you can freeze your property taxes where they still have to pay it. But if they're over the age of, let's just say they hit the age of 75, from that moment forward, their property taxes will not go up. So, I mean, that's something to I could actually get on board with that. Like you hit the age of 75 and your property taxes are $3,000 for the rest of your life, it will be $3,000. You don't have to worry because it's frozen. I think that's a good way to do it, especially, if you're up in age. I don't know. Every state has their own little laws. I'm just saying some states have done this. My grandmother, who has since passed, didn't think she had filed taxes because she was over the age of 80, and she had stopped paying her taxes. Stopped filing her taxes at the age of 80, but she didn't have any income coming in, so it all worked out. But my mom was sweating. She was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to file still." So check on your relatives, especially if they're up in age. They sometimes hear some things or might see a post on Facebook. Make sure they're doing everything they need to do so they don't get themselves in trouble or lose their home. Question: how do people choose a piece of land that you can put a modular on, small home, or etc.? This is a great question. So what I would tell you to do is if you're looking for a piece of land, know what kind of house you're going to be putting on it first. So if you're looking specifically for a manufactured or mobile home, make sure that in the listing, it says that you can build on it, right? If there's nothing in that piece of land listing that says you can or cannot, call the person that has it listed and ask if it can have a manufactured home, a modular home, or a tiny home on it. If they say they don't know, tell them we'll find out. That's their job. They're supposed to find out what's able to be built on that specific piece of land. That is part of their listing job. If they don't know the answer and they say, well, I don't know, I can't find out, you tell them, the listing agent, go to the public record, go to the planning and zoning office and find out and let me know so I can make a contract on this piece of property. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. A lot of MLSs have an ability for you to see what can and cannot be built on that specific piece of land. If you're looking for something that has no restrictions on it, your best bet is going to be something that's labeled rural track or rural property. You're going to have less restrictions and you're most likely going to be able to build whatever you want. That's my favorite. My favorite is a rural track piece of property that has an old abandoned rundown house to it, or it has an old abandoned manufactured home on it, because that means it already has utilities and water to it. That's my favorite. The Eddie tip jar. Yeah, Eddie needs his own tip jar. Why not a swear jar? I try not to swear on air. If you guys knew me in person, though, I have the worst potty mouth on the planet. Since I was a little kid, little itty bitty, I have a terrible potty mouth. Terrible. D-Jack says, get licensed electrician to replace that rewiring. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it depends on how much sometimes, though, I'm going to say this in this person's defense. If they don't want to go through that whole hassle of going and having the house rewired, and it's just too much of a hassle. Sometimes it's just easier. You just want to get out of that old house. You don't want to deal with it anymore. So you reduce the price of the house, how much it would actually cost to have that wiring replaced. You don't have the time, you don't want to deal with it. You just want to sell it and move on. A lot of people do that. So it's an option. Of course it's an option, but yeah. Jay No More Numbers says make it 65 to freeze property taxes, or even 60. Well, it would depend on the income of the area and the age group, right? So you probably couldn't do that in an area like Florida, where it's the majority of the population in certain areas are retired age, right? So let me just put it this way, like the villages. The villages wouldn't function if they all of a sudden allowed for a property tax freeze in that specific area. I don't know if you guys know where that is. It's in Central Florida. It's all retirees. That's the whole entire thing. And they did a property tax freeze in that area. That place would fold in. So in some areas, I think you could do it. I think it could be, I think it would behoove a lot of areas if they could do something like that. I think it would make retirees less afraid, especially because inflation happens. So let's let them stretch their dollar a little bit further. I'm not opposed to it, that's for sure. Remember what says, how do you feel about HUD and USDA cutting fund cuts? How will this affect the housing market? We don't know the full effects of anything right now. I don't think that I'm not a big fan of coming in and just doing scorched earth on any federal project or organization. Just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, all right, we're just going to build it up from scratch. To me personally seems like a really completely reckless idea. But I mean, who the hell am I? Who am I? Nobody. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And we all only know the effects of these things down the road. To me, it doesn't seem like a really good idea personally, but I'm still waiting on their policies when it comes to affordable housing. All I've seen is very short excerpts of saying what they're going to do, but nothing that has a solid plan behind it. A lot of the same, like, we're going to cut the red tape. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Cut the red tape. What red tape are you cutting? We're going to be giving up more federal lands. What federal lands? What federal lands are going to allow for housing to be built in? What kind of housing is that going to be? Is it going to be rental properties? Is it going to, what is the plan? We don't know. We just don't know. Yeah, Eddie says, don't forget to hit the like button. Anyways. All right, Smoosh Star says, question. Did you see that the new Dodge federal employees email up this week? Thanks. Yes, I saw that on the old X. Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. You can use the F word 9 times in an 11-word sentence. That happens to be one of my favorite ones, the F-bomb. I do like that one a lot. Who are you, Kristina? Is someone who's actually has an empathy for for others and a moral compass, which is more than anyone in this administration can claim. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying my best. My whole hope for any administration is that if we could cut out the noise, and in the end product ends up being that people are able to afford their own home, not rental houses, which I think is the worst thing we could do for our younger generations, is just keep them in the rental loop. My hope is always that we have more houses for younger people to be able to afford. I just changed my banner. I don't know if you guys have seen on my channel now. I want an affordable house for everybody to be able to have their own house. Everybody deserves an affordable home to live in. Every single person deserves an affordable house they can live in. I'm not saying for free. Never have said for free. I'm saying an affordable house to live in, period. Affordable, safe. How hard is that? And the only reason I changed it was because once I said that one time on a live stream, and you would have thought I drowned puppies. There were the chat had gone nuts because they were like, not everybody deserves a house. Yes, they do. Every single person deserves a place that they can afford to live in, period. So anyways, Leah says, prediction, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, with all the government layoffs. What is my prediction? They have a shortage of supply anyway. And government jobs come and go. And not a lot of those government jobs were in the exact DC area, right? We might see an uptick of listings in the area, but I still think there's going to be enough people that come in and buy those houses. I don't think the sky is falling, a Chicken Little type of situation. I don't think they're there yet. There's not enough data to support that either. All of this is very scary, you know, for a lot of people that are in the government and government industries. But as far as the housing market is concerned, I don't see home prices tanking, and we're in that situation yet. You know, once the numbers show me something different, I will be the first one. I will pop on here and say, hey, look, we're starting to see a lot more foreclosures. We're starting to see a lot more people drop their houses, $10, $20, $1,000. I will be the first one to be on this telling you guys, look at home prices. They're starting to drop. But right now we're nowhere near it.
I think that article said less than 10%. Was it? It was like a single digit number of federal workers.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was 0.5%. I thought it was 0.5%.
I want to say it was less than 10%.
Yeah.
So even if 10% jumps, 10% increase in inventory.
Well, and that's just saying that like every federal worker actually owned a house. You know, a lot of people rent. A lot of people rent. Even those high dollar jobs. Charlton says, do you think it's the federal government's fault that the tariff Wall Street housing crisis? I don't think the government helps with the tariff Wall Street. Like Wall Street, as everybody knows, has been buying up houses. I know in my bone of bones that everybody keeps talking about. You get one side, you get me who tells you Wall Street has been buying up as many houses as they can. Then you get the other side that says they've only bought a small fraction of housing across the United States. It isn't that bad. That's what they say. I will tell you from what I can see with my own naked eyes, and I've done 1,000 videos on this, they're buying up houses and they're buying them in specific areas, specific sections. And it's not in an areas that you would think, right? It's even more nefarious than that, right? Because they're buying it in whole neighborhoods in clusters. And that way they can control and dictate the market. This has not been, the government knows what's been going on. Their constituents have been sounding the alarm to it. They create these bills to make it feel like they're doing something, but those bills have never been voted on. So the government has been complacent to exactly what Wall Street is doing, which is buying up single family housing to turn all of our kids into renters for life. They are complacent to allow this to happen. The tariffs, I have no weight on that whatsoever. If the tariffs go through at the 30% increase, Wall Street will make their money, and it's always a vicious plan, right? These politicians that are supposed to represent us, whether they have an R and a D or whatever, or independent behind their name, they have all been bought and sold by corporations. Their job, their campaign was paid for by some kind of pact. And even though they say and express when they make these bills saying, we're going to stop Wall Street investors, they know they're doing it to satisfy their constituents. But they also know they'll never get voted on, because that means that they won't get a campaign the next time around. I don't have the answers to that. I'm not a political person, like I just know when it comes to housing, what happens. And we haven't had a good representation in HUD for the last 20 years. And I would love to have somebody in there that really knows what they're doing and shakes it up in a right way. Every administration for the last 20 years says, we're going to cut red tape to allow for more home building. And every administration comes and goes, and it never freaking happens. Never. Anyways, Frank says, people talk about removing property taxes. That just makes it more valuable for Wall Street to buy houses. Think, people, we need to tax secondary ownership. Single family houses out of us. You know what, Frank? Why don't we do this? Oh, that's brilliant, right? So like if you could we reduce the people like 65 and over, they freeze their taxes. They only pay a set payment from here on out. Like it's stopped at $3,000. But investors in second homes, people that have, it's not their primary residence, they pay double. They pay double. So like if it was $3,000 for the neighborhood, the second home or investor home would be $6,000. I like the way you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking. We should do a think tank on how to make this actually happen. This would be interesting. Shake up the whole real estate industry. Charles says, Kristina didn't mean for you to have a tizzy. Will the IRS start auditing politicians? I know that certain politicians want to audit us. Oh, I don't know. You're stirring the pot there. Dwayne says, I read an article which said that the top 5 areas in the U.S. for depreciating value were for 2025 or in Louisiana. Shreveport led the forwards of 7.9. Any thoughts? Yes. We have a lot of industry here in Louisiana. A lot of our income is dependent on plants. Some of these plants will close and move to other areas of the country. Some of those areas also are seeing, because of weather-related problems, our insurance has gone up. So a lot of people are being forced to sell. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. It's very common here in New Orleans as well. You saw a lot of people that were forced to sell because the insurance prices got out of hand. But there's someone always there to pick it up. That's for sure. I've been watching you on the big screen, so all I could do is click on the button. But I just thought of a question. I bought a new construction home and it came with a 1-year home warranty. Yes. So I'm just going to say 99.9999% of all new construction homes come with a 1-year warranty, meaning that it's like a bumper to bumper, just like when you buy a car. So anything that happens to your house or that needs to be repaired within that first year, you can have it repaired. I'm going to tell you, and this is true no matter what home you purchase, I want you to make a very detailed log of everything that needs to be fixed in your home. When you first move in, I want you to go in and start cataloging everything that needs to be fixed, whether that's paint trim, whether that's cracks in the crown, whether that's caulking that needs to be replaced, anything like that. Start documenting everything and have an email chain that is very clear with the date, timestamps on it that these are done. After that year, if it's not been repaired, I want you to print out that email, those emails that you have sent back and forth. And then I want you to go to an attorney's office and have them send a certified letter stating the fact that these things need to be repaired because it was within that 1-year warranty period. They have to answer it by a certified letter. If they get a certified letter, they have to respond. Most of the time, the builders will do it. They don't have an issue with it. And then they might have something a little bit different with certain home builders too. You have to put it in a portal. Just find out what their system is to actually have these things repaired. Now, a lot of states have something that is beyond that 1-year warranty. You can have, here in the state of Louisiana, we have something called the New Home Warranty Act. So it goes way beyond that 1 year. So if you have a problem with your roof or you have a problem with your slab, concrete slab, anything like that, that's covered under the New Home Warranty Act, and it has certain amount of years attached to each of those things, whether that's your HVAC system, your plumbing, your roof, or your slab. There's a lot of states that have this New Home Warranty Act. Go ahead and look that up and see if your state has that act, so that way you know that beyond the year you can go after your home builder if you do have problems with your home. Just wanted to put that out there. Vanessa says that my sink has been leaking. If I pay for a plumber, can I get reimbursed for it? The plumber they sent didn't fix anything. I would not call your personal plumber, because they will most likely not reimburse you for it. What I would do is I would document it again in an email with the timestamp on it, request them to come back out, that it's not being repaired, and have them come out there again. And then I'd also state, if it's not repaired this time, ask them specifically, if this is not rectified, can I call my own plumber and will you reimburse me for the repair since you're not able to fix it, and see what their response is. $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Long story short says, ever go to the Bearcat Cafe?
Super chat. Thank you.
In New Orleans. Eddie, have we ever been to the Bearcat Cafe? I don't think so. I don't think we've been there. Little FYI, I do not eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast eater. I know that's crazy. My stomach hurts in the morning, but I can't eat breakfast. I'll eat brunch, not breakfast.
I can't say I've been there, but I'm about to go there.
Oh, Eddie's gonna go. He'll let us know. Long story short, that's it. He works out there a lot, so he'll let us know. He'll give us a review. Somebody said they didn't know that they will fix things as long as they came up. I thought it only had to be major repairs. Within that first year, they usually have a bumper to bumper warranty on your house. They'll fix pretty much anything within that first year, within reason, within reason. But even like, so let's just say your window had a tear in the screen, they'll come out there and replace it. Usually most home builders, that first year, it's a bumper to bumper warranty. I'm saying bumper to bumper, you know what I mean? Stud to stud, stud to stud warranty. So
You ready for the next call?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Eddie, we have another call that came in.
Freddie, Beverly Hills, California. I was wondering if I can speak to you. I wanted to get into Section 8 in Kristina's area. No, I was wondering if she knows anybody that can manage it for me. No, that's about it. Thank you.
That came in on our phone call. You can call that number 888-255-0198. Isn't that correct? You're welcome, Vanessa. You're welcome. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Yeah, so he wants to know about Section 8.
Super chat. Thank you.
So we have Section 8 here, and I don't know if you want to do Baton Rouge or if you want to, what area you're looking specifically. Are you wanting New Orleans, or you wanting Baton Rouge? You want Livingston, Ascension Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish? You let me know. And yeah, of course I have people that you can help manage your Section 8 housing. So yeah, 888-255-0197. You can leave a message with the super angry, super aggressive AI Kristina. You leave her a message, she'll answer your question, but I still put that question on the screen. She's not always right either. So I have an AI service. It sounds like my voice kinda, and you can leave a message there, and then your call, the message that you leave, the question that you leave for the live stream will be on next week. So you just dial that 888-255-0197. Charlton says, question for Eddie. Is Pat O'Brien still in the French Quarter in New Orleans? Yes.
Last I checked, and the zombie is still a great drink.
Yeah, it is. It is. And they do the hurricanes, Eddie.
They do the hurricanes, but another drink that they have is a zombie. That's the one you and I like.
I thought that was grenades. I thought we liked the grenades.
Negative.
Somebody said the AI Kristina is impatient, not angry. She is impatient. She rudely interrupts you in the middle of you. If God forbid you do a little like pause to think, she'll start talking right over you. You just talk right over the AI Kristina. She's awful. She's awful. I've tried to fix her. Sometimes you just can't fix a robot. 56 Strine says, my wife and oldest daughter do not like breakfast. Yeah, it hurts my stomach. I'm not a breakfast eater. So Violet, I miss her. She died after many years of IBD. Very sweet, happy cat. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your cat. Oh, that was a picture of your cat on your profile picture. Okay, well, let's go ahead and show everybody if they want to get a hold of me. You can also, if you want to get a hold of me and you want to leave a question for next week's live stream, make sure you call this number 888-255-0197. But if you want to get a hold of me during the week and you don't want to leave a phone call, you can go to my website, KristinaSmallhorn.com, hit one of the pink buttons and fill out the form, and I will give you a little ringy dingy, a little call, a little chit chat. We'll talk to one another. If your question doesn't require a phone call, you can just leave your question in there and I'll answer you via email. So if you wanted to share this as a podcast with one of your friends and family, you can go to anywhere you listen to podcasts. Kristina Smallhorn, Real Estate for Everyone. And this week's show, this one right here, will be uploaded tomorrow morning. Eddie does that first thing in the morning. So if you do not see it, you can be angry with Eddie. It's not my fault. That's an Eddie thing.
And make sure to leave a 5-star review.
Yes.
And write a review.
Oh, and I'm trying to get on everybody. Like, you let me know afterwards too. I'm trying to get on somebody in the tax industry. I have a friend that is in the tax industry that I'm trying to get on here. And if you have any tax questions when it relates to your house, please let me know and put them in the comment section. So that way he can be prepared before he comes on. That's going to be a future guest of mine, somebody that does the taxes, the tax man, Mr. IRS man. So that way you can know how to save as much money as possible on your taxes when you do own a home or if you're planning on purchasing a home. So, yep, the poll results are in. Debbie Brady wants to say housing cooling off? 26% said yes, 37% said no, and 38% said it's still way too expensive. And I agree with our pollsters. I agree with our pollsters. Everybody, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic week. And if you need anything in the meantime, you know now how to get a hold of me. So long, everyone. Thank you so much to our moderators. You guys are amazing. I appreciate you. What a fantastic audience today. Yay. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. I got a little tongue tied there. Thank you. Thank you.
Kristina signing off. This stream's about to close. Tiny homes, big dreams, the wisdom she bestows. Real estate queen, always keeping us in toes. Hustle on 1,000, every vibe she shows. Goodbye, Kristina, see you next time. In a world full of chaos, you bring the prime. From modular homes to the mortgage climb. Catch you on the flip in the next run. With mobile homes, dimension goes. Kristina's wisdom breaking molds. Dropping knowledge like we dropping gold. Fuel is locked in, never get